There we are. Nick and Rudy live. I think we may change the name to that. Just
Maybe
change it to
that'd be a
Nick
good
and
name of the show.
yeah, just completely rename the show. Just Nick and Rudy live. But here we are again on a Friday. Thank God it's Friday. For those of you who work the weekends, I'm sorry. It sucks. I'll probably be annoying you this weekend if you work this weekend. But here we are again, talking about the NBA, the sport that just will not die. They are slowly becoming the NFL as far as a 365 year-round type thing.
Yeah, there's not going to be very much more talk in the NBA after the whole Kyrie thing deal finishes, which I personally think he's going to stay in Cleveland. But once that whole deal dies down, you're going to hear just crickets from the NBA. I will say that I really think the Spurs have one more big move left. It may be the Kyrie thing. If it's not Kyrie, I think there's going to be another big move still coming up. So just be on the lookout for that. But after Kyrie's deal, it'll be quiet on the NBA front for a while. That's definite.
Yeah. So with Kyrie, I mean, doing whatever Kyrie wants to do basically, because he isn't he is not being very team oriented right now. He's being
No.
very how would you say? I guess you could say selfish in that term. I guess we're gonna have to stay on this screen if we want to see chat. So you
Yeah.
won't be able to see yourself. So there you go. You won't be laughing at yourself. So I usually laugh at myself. So but with Kyrie doing what he's doing, you said it. You think he stays in Cleveland. There's part of me that thinks that he is going to still stay. He's going to basically him and LeBron will have a sit down. They'll have a discussion, and it's going to be kind of like it's going to be the Kobe and Shaq last year, and then that's probably what it's going to be. 2004 Kobe Shaq's last year, and then Kyrie will move on. LeBron will move on. That's what'll happen. They aren't going to win the title. They're going to
No.
they aren't going to win. They may have trouble winning the East. I mean.
Well, they won the Eastern Conference last year to get to the finals. They already took a step back when they actually lost the Eastern Conference number one seed to Boston.
Yeah, but they still won
And
it.
they still won it, but that's still kind of a minor step back when you lose the actual conference itself and get the two seed. Boston did improve somewhat. I still don't think that they improved defensively when they moved Avery Bradley. I think he was their best defender overall. But again, adding Gordon Hayward is more firepower, which you kind of need against Cleveland. But yeah, you're right. If Kyrie ends up staying, it's going to be the last year for them to be together. Obviously, LeBron's taking off at the end of the year. But there's no winner or loser in this whole Kyrie deal. If the Cavs don't trade him, that's fine. He's going to play regardless of he's staying there or not. You have Derrick Rose as a backup, so you still got pretty good offensive firepower on the team. And if the Spurs lose out on him, no big deal. You still keep your future intact with DeJounte Murray. But the whole thing with the Spurs, I know there's other teams that have offered, some really good deals for him. But if we're talking Spurs only, that's his only real chance to win right now. Minnesota's not going to give him the chance to win right now. It's going to be a few years before they can even win. Probably, I would say get to the conference finals, maybe even the finals. Miami, obviously, you're not going to win right now. The Knicks, you're not going to win right now. So the Spurs give him the best chance. But at the same time, if I'm the Spurs front office, I could care less if he comes or goes because I'm not losing anything. Future's intact.
The whole team's still together. The whole band is still together. I mean, LaMarcus is going to leave when his contract's done. I'm pretty positive of that.
Well, you got to take consideration to something else that's come up. Money for next year is not going to grow much more for the NBA. This was their biggest spike in salary cap, so the money's not going to actually be available next year when it comes to LaMarcus leaving. So he may decide to actually opt in as well as Danny Green because when they look at the market, they're not going to get as much from other teams. As
So
they
you
are
saying
from
you think the
Spurs.
Spurs will fix the relationship with him? Because I do think there's a problem with him. With him and the Spurs right now.
If there's anything wrong with the Spurs, or with Spurs and LaMarcus Aldridge, it's been proven. Take Steven Jackson for example. He was a great fit for the Spurs. He brought the attitude that we needed. But when that one issue arose, Pop didn't care. He just got rid of him right away. So we haven't seen that. All we've seen is, hey, we're trying to trade LaMarcus for something, but we're not seeing it, hey, LaMarcus, get the hell out of here, because if that's the case, they would just cut him right off the bat.
He would have been gone already.
Yeah, so there's really nothing really about the relationship you need to really worry about. If anything would get fixed, it'll be fine. He becomes more valuable at the end of the season, because if he opts in, the Spurs can actually say, okay, that's fine. We're still going to try to trade you because you have 1 year left in your contract, which would free up cap space for another team. So it's not, it's never a winner. It's not a winner or loss for the Spurs, ideally. My biggest thing on the whole Kyrie thing is that I'll use this as an example. I'm a comic collector. I collect comics, and I collect old comics, new comics. If I'm going to have an opportunity to get, a really, really good comic, but I need to trade 2 of my better comics for it, it's kind of like the Spurs deal. You're going to trade 2 good players for 1 great player. I'm going to trade, 2 good comics for 1 great comic, basically. It balances itself out because you're getting a player that's already, has been on the Olympic squad. He's already a champion.
He already knows Pop.
He knows Pop. He's an all-star.
But who doesn't know Pop? Everybody basically knows Pop now.
Yeah, you're right. But I think he's got a good relationship with Pop. And he's actually going to be in a position you need in the Western Conference because toe-to-toe against Steph Curry, you're going to need that type of player. And, Steph scores, Curry scores. It's going to go back and forth. So I would try to make this deal happen right away because the future's already set for the Spurs. They're going to have more years to develop another point guard, and they already have one in Derek White. So I say make that deal right away if you can.
So you say make the deal, get Kyrie if you're the Spurs.
I'd say you do whatever you can to make this.
And
deal
see,
happen.
I don't agree with that. I think you run the band out there again. You do it again. You keep the core together. Mm-hmm. You run it again. Basically, it's such a young team right now, and this is something I was talking to some of my friends with this week. And they were, they did not agree. They thought, get Kyrie. The thing is this, it comes back to, Derek Anderson in 2001, Steve Smith shortly after that, Richard Jefferson, now LaMarcus Aldridge. It seems like these players that we kind of just bring in here who are supposed to be great players. I mean, Derek Anderson wasn't supposed to be a great player. He was kind of like a Steven Jackson, whereas he turned into a great player on the Spurs, and then he left. They both almost had the same path. They both complained that next offseason after having a great year about not getting paid, and they both just kind of left.
Yeah. But your point is absolutely 100% correct. But one thing you failed to realize, outside of Marcus Aldridge, when those players didn't work, the Spurs were quick to move them. And why? Because at that time, other than Steve Smith, who I think retired at the end of the Spurs of his career, I think.
He was in the twilight of his career, but he was still kind of at the end of the plateau of his prime. And when he came to the Spurs, all of a sudden he lost like 4 steps, and he was not the player. Because we traded Derek Anderson for Steve Smith.
Yeah.
That was a package deal. We gave Derek Anderson and Steve Kerr for Steve Smith. Yeah. If you remember it correctly. I think they gave us cash considerations too, and like a draft pick that I think turned out to be somewhat. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was like a draft pick that turned out to maybe be Luis Scola, one of those Argentinians, or Fabricio. It might have been Fabricio, but the Spurs find a way to turn trash into treasure, And
if it doesn't work, they tend to get rid of him right away.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is if you bring a Kyrie Irving in and he doesn't work out, you mean to tell me there's no team out there that's not going to give you some value for Kyrie Irving? There obviously is, and it's only going to be a 2, maybe 3 year process. If it doesn't work in 3 years, what have you lost? Nothing. You're still going to be one of the top teams in the NBA. Yeah. You're still going to compete for titles. So just make the deal happen. You're only going to give up one major asset probably in DeJounte Murray. So you're not losing very, very much, in my opinion. Kyrie's only 25 by the time the contract's up. He'll be 28, maybe 29. So you're not losing a whole lot.
It's not. You're not going to have two. But I still. It's one of those. Is
it a loyalty issue?
Yes.
That's the problem that like I said, my biggest thing with a lot of Spurs fans is they're too loyal. And all I can say is, look, I'm one for trading Tony Parker in this deal because that'll balance out a lot of the money. But before I get the critique back, way before Pop and way before us, the Spurs traded George Gervin to the Bulls.
And George Gervin was
And
twice the player that
exactly.
Yeah.
But you know what? He was in the twilight of his career, like Tony Parker. They got some return back for him. What happened? Gervin retired at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Parker's probably going to retire at the end of this year. I really think this is his last year period in the NBA.
Really?
I really do. I mean, that kind of injury is so mentally challenging that he's not going to be back till maybe January earliest, March the latest. You've already lost an entire season. If he comes back, he's probably going to come back as a backup point guard.
DeJounte, I think he will firmly take the starting role. A lot of people are thinking that DeJounte's just gonna hold it off till Parker gets back, and then Parker's gonna take over. Here's the thing that people don't realize. So I think a lot of people forget that we got Rudy Gay. I think a lot of people have forgotten about that already. Rudy Gay is our starting. He's gonna be our starting shooting guard probably. I have a feeling it'll be either him or Kawhi. Kawhi, it will either be the small forward or the shooting guard. It'll be one of those two. Danny Green now, that throws Danny Green. Unless we're running small against the Warriors, then you're probably going to see Rudy Gay at the 4 and LaMarcus at the 5 or something like that. So that's the thing I think a lot of people forget about is that since you got Rudy Gay now, even though he's not a point guard, it kind of Patty Mills has got to play there somewhere. Patty Mills, we just gave him big money too. Another thing, and I don't want to stay too much on the Spurs. Especially because I'm trying to stay away from being just one straight region.
It's hard when you got news every day coming out about it, so I understand.
But it's one of those. A lot. There's some people like talk about the Lakers. I'm like, well, give me some news from the Lakers. Give me some news from the Bucks. Give me some news from the Knicks. It's all the news that's really coming out involves the Spurs lately, especially like Pau Gasol getting 3 years, $48 million. What did you think about that? Did you have the same reaction I did?
I reacted probably not as harsh as some Spurs fans. When Powell basically said, I'm going to go ahead and, decline my player option, he was making 16 already. All he's doing is making 16 now.
But it's front loaded now.
I don't have to look at that. I thought it was more backloaded because
it's for this year and for 2019. So meaning 2018 we have cap space.
Okay.
That's basically how it's set up.
Okay, yeah, and I hadn't seen this contract, but it doesn't bother me.
You can take it whichever way you want, but that right there, and I don't want LeBron on the Spurs. Me being a Spurs fan, but you can take it whichever way you want. That screams LeBron James coming to San Antonio. That's what they're setting up for.
Possibly.
And then Parker's contract's also off the books this year. Ginobili's contract, he'll retire at the end of this year. There's a lot. Just a young core with Kawhi, LaMarcus, and then a big free agent signing. Because not only is LeBron a free agent, Carmelo's a free agent. Because this is his last year in New York. So no matter what, even if I guess they could trade him and sign him to an extension, that could happen. But there's a lot of players who are going to be free agents next year. So
and that's what I was saying is that the biggest thing is forget the Spurs in general. Not necessarily talking about them, but it kind of is still talking about them. You have to remember what I said earlier that the money next year is not going to be very, very lucrative, basically. So you might see Aldridge and Green both opt in with their contracts, which means that you've only got Parker coming off the books, which is $19 million, and that's not enough to go get you a big name free agent. The other part is if you're lucky enough to get Aldridge and Green to basically renounce their right, basically just decline their option, there's another player that a lot of people aren't talking about that's available, and I'm probably one out of maybe, I'm probably obviously the minority of it. But I would not mind seeing a player with this caliber under Pop's supervision. And that's DeMarcus Cousins.
Oh.
Attitude aside, we have dealt with players with attitude under Pop. And the coaching staff does a remarkable job with them because Pop puts them in a better position than other teams do to succeed.
Yeah, but what if he doesn't get his? Let's trade LaMarcus Aldridge with DeMarcus Cousins.
Well,
And let's put DeMarcus Cousins in the same situation that LaMarcus Aldridge is in right now. I'm talking same exact situation, meaning
okay.
he didn't show up in the playoffs. He kind of, I mean, I think he was hurt. I do think his injuries, the heart ailment he had, and he had some sort of knee tendonitis. They just never really reported on it, but he did. They kind of slightly under the woodwork one day said he's been dealing with knee tendonitis for like a month or two, something like that. So he had small little injuries. Let's put him in the same boat as DeMarcus Cousins. Does DeMarcus Cousins handle it with as much class as LaMarcus did? Because LaMarcus, I mean, as much as y'all don't like him, he has handled this situation pretty classy. I mean, he has not come out and said, "Oh, screw Spurs." He hasn't done any of that stuff. He could have gone full Derek Anderson on us and just, well, Pop and them need to man up and, take everybody under control. He could have gone Steven Jackson on us and just demanded a trade. He could have done all sorts of different things. So he didn't do that. So whether you like it or not, LaMarcus Aldridge actually has handled himself pretty well in that situation. But would DeMarcus Cousins do that? I don't think so.
And that's a very popular take on that, on the DeMarcus Cousins thing. That's why I said I'm in the minority. I think it works. What you have in San Antonio is you have a winning culture. You have great management. You have the best coaching staff in the NBA, probably in sports in general. You also have what a lot of teams don't have, and that's former players, former all-stars and legends that live in San Antonio that are still currently a part of the Spurs. Now, his attitude is the number one thing that drives a lot of people crazy. But do you mean to tell me that a LaMarcus Aldridge who falls off in the playoffs is better than a DeMarcus Cousins who we haven't really seen in the playoffs?
No,
who doesn't really.
If you're asking talent for talent, I would take DeMarcus Cousins.
And I think we've got enough with the Spurs, with enough of the Spurs, community itself, to where you're going to see different DeMarcus Cousins if he was to show up here. He's going to have fire. He's
I'd rather
have
Anthony Davis than DeMarcus Cousins.
He just signed a 5-year extension.
I know.
I mean, that's.
But I would rather have. I'm just saying overall. But I think anybody would rather have Anthony Davis than DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, is that even? You could make an argument saying DeMarcus Cousins is better than Anthony Davis. He does have more of a low post game. He does.
He has what the Spurs need.
Yeah, and you know what? As you said that, I thought of it. I was like, yeah, you know what? He does have what the Spurs need. They need a little bit of attitude on the inside.
So say real quick before we move on. You get Kyrie Irving, okay, and then LaMarcus Aldridge and Danny Green opt out. So that frees up the money. Parker goes off the books. Say Parker retires. Say Monty retires. So you have Kyrie, you have Kawhi. Say Rudy Gay does good, and he says, you know what? Let me opt in for that in the second year.
Now you're going big ifs.
No, I'm saying, say he does. I mean, we don't need him to average 18. Give me 14.
We just need him to be Danny Green. That's really all we need.
And he's better than Danny Green, honestly.
Oh yeah, he is.
But now you've got that money.
But that's if he's healthy. That's been an issue his last 5 years, anyways. His health.
Yeah. So say he has a semi-healthy year. He plays 60+ games. I say that's good. He gives us 12, 13 points a game. He's what we need. Now, take all that aside and throw a DeMarcus Cousins in there, who gets a max deal with Kawhi, who's still under contract for a while, and that gives you 2 years with Kyrie. So you've got a Kyrie, Rudy Gay, Kawhi, DeMarcus Cousins, and Pau Gasol.
Pau Gasol is coming probably at the end of his career there.
Now, that might be his last year.
That might be the last year.
So, I think that lineup stands, well tall above everybody else.
Now one thing I will, we spent 20 minutes talking about NBA again. This is what happens. This happens every time. The NBA steals our time.
Yeah.
I'm like NFL season. Woo! Training camp started. All this stuff, and then NBA news. One last thing. If the Spurs do release, or not release, but basically get rid of LaMarcus and Danny Green, Rudy Gay's there to basically replace the Danny Green role. It'd basically be the same rotation that we did last year, minus Tony Parker, and it would be the same thing. Manu would come in probably for Rudy Gay. That would probably be what happened. But also something that nobody's mentioning, Boris Diaw's a free agent still. Are we just going to keep overlooking Boris Diaw?
They're not overlooking him. It's the fact that I don't think he fits into the Spurs mix right now. You're probably going to look at Boris's name come up right around All-Star break, right around that playoff push. I think we need to see first what we have on the floor. We've already got pretty much 15 guys on the roster. So I think Pop wants to see what he's got on the
He
floor
would help
before
defend
making that.
Draymond Green. I mean, but
Well, yeah, but
that's
again,
all I'm thinking of.
you don't want to give him a guaranteed contract for a year, and it's not something that's going to fit your roster right now.
True.
So he's going to be there.
I think he would be a better replacement for Dwayne Dedmon.
Yeah.
He would get more playing time. He'd be a better big man to throw in there.
Just don't sleep on Joffrey Laverne. Don't sleep on him. He's not Dwayne Dedmon.
They're not ready though. That's what I'm saying. These players aren't. Derek White isn't ready yet. He may be.
It's about development and which team develops the players the best. The San Antonio Spurs.
So by that logic, then Davis Bertans should be pretty good.
Bertans is good. I mean, he had spurts last year.
I know, but
and
it was gonna be Jonathan Simmons had spurts last year too and got a super max deal.
So then Bertans has a bright future.
Yeah,
basically. So yeah, don't worry about the Spurs. They'll be fine. We'll see what happens with the whole Kyrie thing.
So
games together like that.
We'll throw in 2 minutes here of just one question. So all the crazy contracts that went around, there are some, you mentioned this to me the other day, and you kind of wanted to talk about it. I didn't. I kind of elaborated a little bit on it, not really, and that was why are contracts so crazy in the NBA compared to the NFL? Mm-hmm. Well, what's funny is after we talked about it, I did my research, and I just started looking. I forgot that Otto Porter got a freaking max deal. Otto Porter, washed up himself. He is literally just a name now. Mm-hmm. He is. Rudy Gay is a better player than Otto Porter, mm-hmm. I think, in my opinion. But it's all about the persona. It's all about mm-hmm. The fact that we didn't want to lose him and someone signed him to an offer sheet somewhere. So and one thing he kind of got into it, which was why is the NFL not paid as great as the NBA? And one big glaring thing is injuries. I mean, max contracts are kind of easier to do in the NBA, whereas the NFL, you could have one play where your leg plants incorrectly and your career's done. Look at J.J. Watt. How much has J.J. Watt played the past couple years? And he was the defensive. Basically, if he steps on the field for 16 games, he's a defensive player of the game. You know what? Let's go 12 games. If he steps on the field for 12 games, he's a defensive player of the year every year, no matter what. And it's only because he is the best defensive player in the league when he plays. Mm-hmm. But that's the thing, though, is when he plays. That's why he said about those NFL rankings when he was ranked like 30-something, he goes, these are ludicrous because he hasn't played in a year and a half. And they still have him ranked in the top 40 or whatever. Yeah. So that's the reason why, I mean, I'm sure you have your own reasons for mm-hmm. the reason why NFL players don't get paid as much and stuff. Also, cord cutting has something to do with that. The NBA just signed that huge, dumb deal with ESPN and Time Warner, which sucks, by the way. So if we were cutting in and out, you can blame Time Warner for that. Also, I guess I should have probably said this because at the beginning, just a disclaimer. This is our first live stream from YouTube. So y'all comment, let us know what you think. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm going to try to do more of these instead of Facebook because Facebook was starting to get a little dumb with some of the stuff they were sending me. So YouTube is a little more free, open market type of thing. I think Facebook was going to try to start running ads on our videos, so just because of views. And I didn't want Facebook running ads on my videos where none of us get anything from it. That's kind of how Facebook is. Mm-hmm. So Facebook, everything will be shared to the page, and I'm sure if you want to comment, I think you have to have a YouTube account. So they're free. So all you have to do is use your Gmail and stuff like that. But I guess we'll move on to just a little bit of NFL talk. How long you got? You got about 15 more minutes?
I'm good.
You're good.
Yeah,
all right.
We're good on time. We're perfect.
All right. So we'll move on to some NFL talk then, and just some. I drew a blank. What was that? What was that topic?
Was that unlucky news or
the unlucky news? That's been hammered. It was. I think this is mainly for you. It was why do we measure greatness in terms of titles? That's one thing you're asking because being a Cowboys fan for the last as long as I remember being a Cowboys fan. I mean I kind of remember the Bledsoe years, the Testaverde years,
Carter, Wright, Pelor.
Yeah, I mean Quincy Carter. Quincy Carter was probably the first year I really remember watching the Cowboys as far as actually paying attention, and I was 11 or 12, I think. So, and then after that, it was Testaverde, Bledsoe, then Romo. So we get Romo, and everything with Romo was, I mean, Romo is, I don't care what you tell me, Romo is the greatest talented quarterback in Cowboys history. They just never put a team around him. They never put a team that compared to the Aikman teams, to the Staubach teams. It was Romo or bust. That's basically the way it was. Romo took, you know, basically 2-14 or 4-12 teams to 8-8 3 years in a row. Those teams had no business going 8-8, even competing for an NFC East title, and he took them there because it was Romo. Romo is and it's one of those people bring this up. Tony Romo is in a lot of ways the Manu Ginobili of the NFL. The only difference is Manu Ginobili had a great team around him that, you know, let's not forget that the reason why we lost the 2006 title was because Manu Ginobili fouled Dirk Nowitzki. Okay, I mean, one of the dumbest plays in NBA history. No one talks about because Manu Ginobili won 4 titles. So, I mean, no one talks about that. Mm-hmm. But also one of the dumbest plays in NFL history, the Tony Romo bobble snap. But you know what? He didn't win any titles, so everybody brings that up all the time. So, and also it's the Cowboys. And I mean, whether you love them or you hate them, it's the Cowboys. So people are going to watch, people are going to be interested. Whenever the Cowboys are on, there's a reason why they lead in ratings year after year. It's because everybody cares about them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, and there's a lot of people that love to hate them because of that reason. Because there are ratings. They're just a ratings boost every time the Cowboys are on. Yeah. And I mean, that's no, and I think, I'll tell you the truth, I think there's more people that hate the Cowboys now than are fans. I'll just be straight honest with you. I think there are more people that hate them than are fans because there are 31 other teams in the NFL, and I could swear all the fans of those 31 other teams, they may not tell me to my face, but when they're on the internet, they hate the Cowboys. It's amazing how when you put a screen in front of someone, people all of a sudden become either they love or hate. You know, there's a polar opposite. There's no middle ground.
Well, social media's killed a lot of the.
I think social media has destroyed.
In life, you know.
I think social media, like, imagine if there was social media whenever OJ was going on with the white Bronco. Imagine that. Man, imagine how crazy that would have been. So that's something I thought of the other day. Imagine if social media was around when Michael Irvin was being, you know, when he got put in jail, you know, stuff like that. Just, you know, crazy stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And now you got social media who basically is determined that Zeke is, you know, he's a criminal already when he hasn't been, you know, basically I thought we're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. Mm-hmm. So, but
you know, social media has done a lot to hurt, you know, society in general, I think. But, you know, it also has its benefits. I mean, social media has given guys like us, average blue collar normal guys, a chance to talk sports.
Social media is good and bad. It is the actual, probably the freest thing. Mm-hmm. If you really think about it. I mean, unless you're putting kiddie porn or gory videos online. That's basically the only thing you can't do online. Legally. That's basically the only legal thing you can't do online. Unless you're ISIS. If you're ISIS, you can put all the stuff you want online. So they still don't get banned from Twitter. But
no, and that's, you know, that's cool. I understand all that, you know, but like you were saying about the Cowboys, you're half right on the Cowboy hater part. There are a lot more Cowboy haters, and I think a lot of it has to do with social media because now they have a voice. But there's guys like, I'll use myself as an example. I am literally not a Cowboy hater, but I'm not a Cowboy homer or fan.
You're right in the middle.
I'm a supporter because, you know, hey, they are a Texas team. I do support the Cowboys. I don't like to see them lose. I like to see them win. But same thing with the Texans. You know, I'd like to see them win. I'd like to see them be successful. And a lot of other teams, you know, that's fine with, you know, it's fine with me. I'm a supporter, but I'm also not against them, you know, 100% of the time. I do have hate on them a few times, but that's just a part of being, you know, a sports fan in general. You know, me being a Falcons fan, I've got tons of criticism on Falcons fans. You know, I even think I had one. I think your brother asked, "How did I become a Falcon fan?" It's a long story, which I think I told you. Or
tell him to listen to the first Rated R.
Yeah, podcast. The first podcast. You know, I described why. Then they think you brought up I was a Tar Heel fan. Well, Tar Heel's kind of a little bit, I guess, different. It has nothing to do with San Antonio. The reason behind the whole Tar Heel thing was I had an uncle who was a Tar Heel fan. But, you know, he obviously was watching them when, you know, the Larry Brown, Phil Ford, all these guys. So I started watching, NCAA basketball as a kid, and of course, it's like, well, you have Michael Jordan, you have James
Yeah.
Worthy, you have Brad Daugherty, you have all these guys, Sam Perkins, and I just recently watched the game last night, I believe in 1981 when they played Kansas and ended up losing, which, that team was Jordan, Worthy, and Perkins.
And Kansas has always had good teams, and
Mm-hmm.
Georgetown had some really good teams back then too.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best NCAA national championships ever was Jordan against Ewing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just great, basketball back then. And it's one of those. If I wasn't born in this region, I probably wouldn't be a Cowboys fan. But I don't know, because when I was born into the Cowboys' glory days.
Mm-hmm.
I was born when I vaguely remember 93, but I pretty vividly remember 95.
Mm-hmm.
Beating the Steelers in 95, I remember that. I like to remind all my Steelers fans that I remember that. And it's you can make fun of me all you want about the Cowboys' dusty championships, stuff like that. But one thing I remind a lot of people when anyone brings up, like, we're mainly getting around to greatness being measured in championships or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Cowboys haven't done anything. I mean, they've had some good seasons, but when you're a Cowboys fan, a good season isn't good enough. And now, when you're a Falcons fan, a good season isn't good enough. And that's something But this year, being a Cowboys fan, what I tell everybody, they're like, well, what's your goal as a Cowboys fan? I'm like, well, obviously, every year our goal is to win it all. That's what we want to do. That's what every team should have that goal. But right now, my personal, would I be satisfied with? Now, this depends on the situation. This could change. I don't know. But I would be satisfied at least with an NFC championship playoff berth. That's it. Just an NFC championship game. I would probably be pretty satisfied with that. Because this is a young team. You got to let the team grow. Last year, they had a lot of success to start out with. This year's going to be tougher. There's like 7 or 8 games on there that they could very well lose. I mean, I don't see them losing them. I think this is a really good team. I think this is, the cream of the crop in the NFL. You got in the NFC, you got the Packers, Cowboys, and Falcons, and I think that's virtually it. I mean, then you got the Seahawks, but the Seahawks, that offensive line is just,
it's horrible.
I mean, the Cowboys could probably sack Russell Wilson right now. And they don't have a pass. Well, sorry, the Cowboys' defense last year. I think they got a better pass rush this year. Yeah. But the Cowboys' defense last year, that pass rush was so bad. Ask Aaron Rodgers. Had all sorts of time to do everything he wanted to do. So that's the only reason why y'all destroyed him, because y'all had a good pass rush. I mean, y'all never gave him a chance to think. So it's like this, and I'm sure you set goals like for your team. It's win the Super Bowl this year. It's finish the job that you started last year. It's have the and you. I'm sure you want to play the Patriots again. I'm sure you would love to have a rematch against the Patriots. You want to have that Spurs-like story.
It's the Spurs, fan in me. I want to have that same kind of story. Go back, beat the Patriots. Will it happen? It's tough. It's tough because
the NFL is so crazy.
Exactly. It's
not like the NBA. You can basically predict the next 2 NBA champions. Either going to be the Warriors or it's probably going to be the Cavs. I mean, if the Cavs hold together, well, it's going to be the Warriors now.
Maybe. I'm still not buying into the Warriors winning the title next year. I still say it's a new year. Something may happen.
Maybe all those demons that they made deals with will catch up to them, and
it will catch up. Trust me. In the next 2018, 2019 seasons, you're going to see different Warrior teams. I do not think they can afford to keep all 4 players.
If Kevin Durant keeps taking a pay cut, they will.
So you mean to tell me that he's going to take so much of a pay cut that Draymond Green and Klay Thompson are going to get max deals? And
they won't get max deals, but I'm sure they will make Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. I'm sure something's going to happen where they're all going to be able to make their money, and they're all going to be just fine, and they're all going to be a happy family.
That's what I'm saying. Say you have Steph Curry is the only max player, and these other guys are saying, okay, well, I want to take 20, which is below my max deal. I want to take 20 below my max deal. You're talking 80 to 85, 90 million in 4 players. You only have 120 million.
Okay, so you just go and sign a bunch of veteran minimums like they did. I'm sure David West will still be playing with his cane out there. But
Andre Iguodala's contract's still in the books now because of his deal.
Well, Andre Iguodala will probably retire by then. He's getting pretty old. I mean,
we'll see. I want to get back into Warrior talk, but
let's stick with the NFL. So the NFL. So you want to go back. You want You want to win the Super Bowl. That's your goal.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's your goal. You know,
This year.
This year. And Matt Ryan, how old is Matt Ryan? I'm sorry, I don't know. He's 34?
Oh, God. 33, 34.
33?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's coming. He is in. It's crazy now. Quarterbacks, it used to be 30, 31, 32 was kind of the peak of their prime. But then you look at Tom Brady, you look at Aaron Rodgers, even look at Peyton Manning, and you start to realize that really quarterbacks don't start to die down until their bodies tell them we're done. You know, quarterbacks can play for forever. Peyton Manning, he was 40, right, when he won the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken?
39.
He was 39. See, he was 39. And 39 was the first year where we saw an actual, how'd you say, a regression in
Well, he was 39. He was
quarterbacking ability, basically.
Yeah, he was 40 the next day.
Where, like I think there was an interview they had with him, and they asked what happened that last year, and he basically said that, I mean, then again, though, remember, he had a neck surgery, and he couldn't even feel his fingers for a whole season, basically. Mm-hmm. And he still was the MVP that year. I think he broke Tom Brady's passing touchdowns record.
That's what I was getting at with my whole question was, do you measure greatness based off of championships? And if you look at the rap sheet, Peyton Manning's career rap sheet is 3 pages long. I looked it up. And Tom Brady,
look up on Wikipedia. It'll take up your whole screen.
Tom
3
Brady
screens.
is maybe a page and a half. Yeah. But because Tom Brady has 4 Super Bowl titles.
5 Super Bowls.
5?
He got 5.
I thought it was 4. Okay.
He won 5.
I thought I saw 4, but okay, say 5.
2001, 2003, 2004, 2000.
Not sure. Okay,
yeah,
5.
Yeah.
And Manning's got 2. So you've got 2 quarterbacks, and you can't. I had a friend of mine say, "Well, where's Joe Montana?" And I said, "Okay, you cannot throw Joe Montana in there with the likes of Brady or Manning, because again, it's 2 different eras."
This is the case I've been making for forever. But then I go and I contradict myself by saying that Romo was the best Cowboy quarterback in Cowboys history. But the only reason I'm doing that is sometimes people need to take off their rose-colored glasses, and they need to do something I call the eye test. Go watch career highlights of Tony Romo, Roger Staubach, and Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman is a distant third. I know my dad somewhere is super mad right now that I said that, but Troy Aikman was a timing quarterback. He didn't really create too many plays on the run. He wasn't really an excellent. He didn't have the greatest arm strength in the world. He was probably one of the best timing quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. I'm talking 3-step drops, 4-step drops. Whenever that stuff started to go, meaning the offensive line kind of went away, he started having problems. And then it came to where his career ended on a concussion because he got hit pretty good. So his career actually was probably cut short a little early. But then you go back to Roger Staubach, and you look at him. You look at Tony Romo and Roger Staubach. They are a lot alike as far as they both ran a lot earlier in their careers, and late in their careers they relied more on just the ability to read defenses. The only reason why I give Romo the nod over Staubach is that when Staubach he only had like 2 bad teams, and when he had 2 bad teams, he was really bad. When Tony Romo had, let's see, every team except for 2014. 2014 was the best team he ever played for. And you saw how far he got them. I mean, they were basically one absolutely horrible call by Gene Steratore away from going to the NFC Championship game. I don't know what your take is on that. We haven't ever talked about the take on the Des Cottet call. But anyways,
if you're gonna make that same call against Megatron at the beginning of that one NFL season against the Bears,
where they gave
then they took away his touchdown.
They didn't take away his touchdown.
They said it wasn't a touchdown.
Yeah, but
because he didn't have control of the ball the whole way.
Did they take it away from him?
If I'm not mistaken, they did. Now, if I'm wrong, let me know if I'm wrong out there.
You know what they did? But he caught it in midair, and the ball touched the ground, and then he fell to the ground and lost it. It was a different. He didn't take 2 steps. He didn't do all that stuff though, so it was different.
It goes back. Well, he did, because if I remember, Megatron caught it in the back of the end zone, turned, fell into the end zone.
Eye test. Was that a catch though?
What's a football move?
Megatron's always was a catch to me.
But what's a football move?
A football move is whenever I see you have full possession of the ball,
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you got two hands, and whenever you go to make this move, which is what Megatron did and is what Dez did, Dez makes. I've been watching Dez his whole career. I'm a big time Dez Bryant fan,
Mm-hmm.
and he's had a rough few years since then. I think it really got in his head, that play, because Dez every single time, and this is the problem, is a lot of people they watch the Cowboys to hate on them, so they don't really pay attention. But the same thing with these really elite wide receivers. Dez was considered an elite wide receiver back in 2014. If you remember, the injuries have started catching up to him, and But in 2014, he caught, like, if I'm not mistaken, he caught like 15 touchdowns that year, 16 touchdowns. He had a pretty damn good year. So he goes and he catches it every single time he's close to the end zone. Doesn't matter where it is. He does that same move, and it's the catch. It's the stick under his left arm, and he goes and makes a lunge every single time. And sometimes he's dropped it, sometimes he hasn't. So I think watching that game, I watched with my brother, and I was like, and I'm thinking, there is no way they're overturning this. And here's something that no one ever talks about on that play too, and that was, there was no video evidence of the ball even touching the ground. There was never. You could make the case that he squeezed it so hard it just popped up, and then he grabbed it before he even touched the ground. So there's all sorts of, that's one thing I've never understood. They always talk about having to have complete video evidence of overturning a call. They have to have, the overall evidence of doing it. And that is the one play I have seen where there is no evidence. There is no video evidence at all of the ball ever touching the ground. You see his arm touching it, but I think a thing a lot of people forget about too is he was wearing a black armband, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So the ball looked the same color as that black armband. So I mean, I don't want to get too much into the Dez catch thing because it's 3 years old now. But
yeah, but I mean, you're getting, like, when you go from, like, he had a black armband and the color of the ball and everything, that's too technical. But if you ask me in general, was it a catch? I'm 100% sure it was a catch. My thing on the whole football move is he caught the ball, he turned, and when you turn and you lunge forward, to me that's a football move. And I also go back to the rule of the ground can't cause a fumble.
Yeah.
So
if anything, it would have been a fumble. And he made two full steps, lunged for the end zone. It was that is, in a lot of ways, that play is our immaculate reception in a lot of ways. Meaning, how controversial it is. And the thing is, too, is a lot of people like to, throw out that, why didn't he just hold on to the ball? Because he was trying to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
Now, there's other things.
I don't even know how much time there was in
I think I talked about this, and I kind of made a video about it, like, back when it happened. There was also me asking, why did we throw a bomb on 4th and 2? Stuff like that. There was so many bad decisions we made that drive anyways. But when it comes down to greatness, we keep on deferring from it because I went to your Super Bowl and stuff like that. We keep deferring from the actual topic. But when it comes to greatness in terms of, of stats or accolades and stuff like that, Peyton Manning had a really good career. Sure, he only won it twice, and that last one he won, his defense basically won it for him. But are you trying to tell me that he wasn't just as good as Tom Brady? Tom Brady is the greatest system quarterback in the history of system quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how I know? Matt Castle won 11-5 with that team.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy Garoppolo might have been able to do the same thing that Tom Brady did last year, except I don't think they come back in the Super Bowl.
Okay, so then you're kind of going to the point where I'm going when it comes to players. Am I considering Peyton Manning greater than Tom Brady? I would say yes.
Skill-wise.
Based off of non-titles, I won't measure their success off of titles. Because if you just made the case, Matt Castle went 11-5, you said, for the Patriots. Okay, so if
Jimmy Garoppolo went 2-0. I mean,
yeah, if you take Peyton Manning off those Colt teams, are they as good as the Patriots without Brady? Probably not.
No, those Colt teams. Do you remember how bad those Colt teams were when Peyton Manning got on the Colts?
So
they were laughing stock bad. The last quarterback they had that was decent was John Unitas. This is something that's going to get me a lot of people hating on me, but Tom Brady is good. Tom Brady's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
But you throw Tom Brady on the Browns, and he is not a good quarterback. Tom Brady benefits just as much from Belichick's system as Belichick benefited from Tom Brady. It's the same thing. It's the same argument you could make with, like, oh God, who was Trent Dilfer. Now, this is a bad example. This is a horrible example because people are gonna say I'm comparing Tom Brady to Trent Dilfer. Trent Dilfer had a pretty decent season the year that the Ravens won the Super Bowl. After he basically had got benched, he came back and he ran the system well. He did what they had to do. Tom Brady, you can make the case, well, he was the one who led the comeback against the Falcons, which he was. He was the person who did it. But there's a lot of things the Falcons did. The Falcons lost that game more than the Patriots won. Mm-hmm. The Falcons ran straight up cover 3, didn't disguise anything. I could see it on TV. Didn't disguise it. Didn't even try to make the safeties fake a cover 2 or fake a cover 4. It was cover 3, cover 3, cover 3. Okay, well now he's beating us with 3. Let's switch to 2. And then it was, oh look, Brady's moving someone in motion. Obvious man. And that was the problem. The problem was the Falcons didn't disguise anything. One of the best defensive minds in the game, Dan Quinn, is one of the best defensive minds. I fully think. Look what he did with the Seahawks. He built that defense. He built it to what it is. Have they been the same since he left? Not really.
No.
And so Dan Quinn went from being one of the most, how'd you say? You did not know, he was one of the most how'd you say? What's the word I'm looking for?
He flew
unpredictable.
He flew under the
well,
radar.
he was very unpredictable. You didn't know what he was going to do defensively. To okay, well we're up by 25 and let's do it. So there's a lot of arguments. I'm not trying to hate on the Patriots. The Patriots' success is the Patriots' success. You can't take away those 5 Super Bowls.
Well, I know you can't, but what I can do is I can also make the case for Brady on the whole greatness thing. You look at Manning's teams at the time; they weren't great. Without Peyton Manning, that team doesn't go. Maybe did they get to the playoffs?
No.
But it doesn't. Maybe it does, but it doesn't get beyond the playoff part.
Does Tom Brady lead the Colts team that played the Bears in the Super Bowl? Does he lead them to Super Bowl? Because they had the 32 ranked defense that year. He led the 32 ranked defense Colts to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl.
Does Tom Brady do that?
I don't think so.
I don't know, because this is what I was going to get at. Tom Brady, you can make a case that with those teams that Peyton has had, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Dallas Clark, Jeff Saturday was the center. You've got great players already there. Some of them are Hall of Fame worthy. But then you look at some of the Brady teams outside of the Randy Moss and stuff. Has Brady had as much on the offensive side as Peyton has?
But that's where Belichick comes in.
But I'm talking about known players. Can you literally say that Brady has done more with less?
You could probably say that, yeah.
So,
but Belichick is also
great.
But Belichick also though comes in. You gotta remember that. Tony Dungy's a great coach, but he's not Bill Belichick.
No.
So that's. Oh man, we're already way over now. I just looked at the clock, but
that's fine.
But I guess we'll start to finish it up then. But that'll have to be another discussion for another day. We could talk about that all day. It's the same thing with Tony Romo and all that stuff. And that's a problem whenever you're measuring quarterbacks from different eras, different teams, different times. That's why I've said you've got these quarterbacks that are great. Just let them be great. Cam Newton is not in that discussion, by the way. Cam Newton is not a great quarterback. No. Cam Newton had one good year, and that was a progression from the norm. And then last year, he regressed back to the norm. So he went back to his normal stats. Everybody's like, oh, but Cam Newton's a beast. Look what he does with the ball and all that stuff. Yeah, I get that, but Cam Newton in the year before, so basically it's kind of like every other year Cam Newton. That's what I call it. The year he had Steve Smith and they lost in the divisional game. He wasn't really that good that year either.
No.
The thing about Cam Newton is there's a lot of flash with Cam Newton. It's a lot of, oh man, look at that 10-yard run. Look how he fought for every yard. I get that. But that's kind of it. It's he throws the ball way too hard on short yardage. He overthrows receivers like crazy on long throws. He has trouble with slant passes at times. Sometimes you start to get the feeling that he was the NFL MVP 2 years ago, but 2 years ago he had a pretty good year accuracy-wise. And then last year, he got cocky, and he went back to his normal self, which was missing easy throws. Eric Berry last year had one of the greatest interception returns for touchdowns because Cam Newton's doing what? What was he doing with the ball that play? So
nobody knows.
But anyways, we could talk about Cam Newton. We could talk about all this.
Well, it's good because we're getting more into football and less of NBA. So we're getting more.
I need to have the
diversity
going on. Yeah, because NBA's become just a sport that always is going on now. But as far as us here, y'all have a great weekend. We will see you guys on Tuesday. I don't know if he will. I'm going to try to get him back on.
Probably. We'll see Tuesday. I know Fridays for sure. I can probably be
there.
Yeah,
Fridays for sure. So you may see my little brother again on Tuesday. I'll see what I can do. See if I can get him back in here.
And we also got the second episode, Numero Dos, the Rated R Sports Show coming up next week. It'll be on iTunes, probably on YouTube, I think, as well. But tune into that, guys. We've got, like I said, real quick, we've got Old Man Money Talk. We're probably going to get a little bit into Kyrie Spurs flirting.
And y'all got some stuff to give away.
Yeah, we're also going to do a giveaway. That's going to be happening that day also. NFL
missions tickets, right, or something, or what?
We're either going to do missions tickets or something else. I know we have some mission tickets that we'll be giving away. Probably like a 3-pack for the family, maybe a 4-pack, depending on which one it is. But also, fantasy football chingaderas are coming up on this podcast for all you fantasy guys out there.
Yeah, fantasy stuff's gonna be coming up probably. Me and Macon tomorrow. We're gonna record another episode of Nicked Up Weekends. So we'll probably throw some fantasy stuff in there because Nick Macon is the fantasy guru. Let's not forget.
He hasn't met the crew from the Rated R Sports Show yet, so we will see.
I cannot wait to record Sunday NFL preview. We may do that live. We may just have to do that live on Saturdays, just the NFL preview show. So for all of us here at LINZ Sports, you'll have a great week. Check out our website. I'm sure we're going to have some more articles posted here soon. It's just been kind of, we don't want to inundate you and drown you out with Kyrie talk because we could do that. We could write a ton of articles about Kyrie, but it's one of those things. We're trying not to be the 4-letter network and the Animal Sports News Network. So we're trying to stay away from that. So for all of us here at LINZ Sports, you'll have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday.
Later, guys.